Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what to do, everybody? It's your boy, John Altidor, Pro Fan Sports Podcast, back at you with another one with my boys, Vlad and Barry, who will be joining us at some point, hopefully. And today, we got host of Locked On Arizona Cardinals, Alex Clancy, man. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, thank you for coming on, man. For the listeners, as of today, Monday, December 12th, the Patriots and Cardinals are slated to have a game tonight. So by the time you guys hear this episode, the game will have gone by. So I don't want to focus too much on the game since, it's gonna go by already. But maybe we want to talk about a little bit about what's going on with the Cardinals. Actually, you have two teams right now that are kind of struggling. Arizona Cardinals. Patriots, two struggling teams. I think Kyler Murray and Mac Jones are kind of like similar in stats this year as far as, the success on the field. What's been going on with the team in Arizona?
I talk about this a lot, and it's unfortunate, but there's a problem. And the only thing that's worse than having a problem is not knowing why there's a problem. And we don't know why there's a problem when watching the team. You could say, well, it's Cliff, or it's Steve Keim for not building out the right roster, or it's Kyler Murray because, I don't know, people have very vast differentiating opinions on Kyler Murray as a quarterback. Personally, I think that he's being held back by his head coach. I think he's being held back by his GM for not building out a full roster. And we're watching a young gentleman who is kind of going at it on his own, trying to figure out the NFL life on his own. So I think that's like what's going on with the Cardinals. There is dysfunction, but not like bad people dysfunction, not like off the field issues dysfunction. It's ineptitude dysfunction, which is from a business standpoint equally as bad, obviously not as bad as legal issues, but I think that's kind of what it is. It's just dysfunction and some ineptitude.
Yeah. I think some of the similar things are happening within the Patriots organization. I think your defensive coordinator pointed that out, that we have an offensive coordinator that was a defensive coordinator, and he's calling plays like a defensive coordinator would. But, going back to the offseason, after Kyler Murray signed his deal, that whole situation about the playbook and that he's not studying. I feel like, do you think that's where some of this stuff, started out unraveling for this season?
I think that where it started unraveling was when Bidwell took it away. It's like I would have respected him a lot more. I thought it was a dumb clause, and it made Kyler Murray look bad. And the fact that it was actually in the contract and not just, hey, Kyler, pop a squat, dude. Like, let's have a conversation. Can we do this? Do I need to really put ink to paper to sign this to make it happen? Now, I'm assuming that was his last stitch. I'm still in control effort once he gave Kyler Murray all the cheese that he gave him. But the fact that he pulled it after putting it in and after it got reported shows cowardice, and that's something that you don't want from an ownership. You know what? Most bosses aren't liked by a lot of the people, but that doesn't mean they're a bad boss. Michael Bidwell, loosely defined. But the fact that he pulled it, that showed way more than them actually putting it in there to begin with. So I think that was the unraveling is I don't know if things can unravel in the preseason, but it was just a rudimentary and weird offseason for the Cardinals for sure.
Yeah. Vlad, you got some?
Is the relationship between Kyler Murray and Clint Kingsbury just ruined? Like, what do you think of that relationship? Because you see them arguing on the sideline and so on and so forth.
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, because here's the thing: is like their relationship is different than any head coach quarterback in the NFL. Like head coaches and quarterbacks are close a lot of times, and that's not to say that Kyler Murray and Cliff aren't. But Cliff Kingsbury, and there are conflicting reports with the timeline of all of these things. In my humblest of opinions, Cliff Kingsbury would not be the head coach if they weren't going to draft Kyler Murray. So he was brought in to be not just a head coach, but to be kind of the Sherpa for Kyler Murray to teach him the ropes of how to be an elite quarterback. And that's why the relationship's a little different, because he has – I said in one of my podcasts that Cliff Kingsbury would be a perfect quarterbacks coach for the Cardinals, so he could focus just on what he was brought in to focus on and not anything else, because he doesn't know where the defensive locker room is. Like, he's not going to help on the defensive side of the ball. And, you know, he calls plays not so great a lot of times. The relationship between the two of them, I think, is fine. But Kyler Murray, there should never be a time where the quarterback leads the charge of that. Even with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, the head coach is in charge. And the quarterback has as much say as any player on the team or entity on the team, but the head coach still leads the way, and Cliff just ain't that, in my opinion, at least.
I was reading your tweets, and you tweeted out if the offense is the strength of the team, why is Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach? Where'd that come from?
That's my favorite thing to say. Okay. Since 2019. And it's not a dig at Cliff. I want Cliff Kingsbury to blow the roof off. I want him to succeed in every aspect. But when the offense, since 2019 when he took over, continues to have bad penalties, bad timeouts, inability to tie up seasons when they were playoff bound, like his second year and third year, like the offense is not as stable as the defensive side of the ball. And the offense was sparked a lot last year, especially on the road, by short fields given to them by the defense. Like, if you see, like, the Tennessee game was a perfect one. Week 1, okay? The Cardinals put up a 40-burger against Tennessee and blew them out of the water. Chandler Jones had 5.5 sacks. I think he had 2 strip sacks in that game, 2 short fields. The first drive that the Cardinals defense set up for the offense was a short field. I think it was on the 40 or 35 of Tennessee. The Cardinals get down inside the 10, false start, incomplete, end around, false start, timeout, incomplete, field goal. Like, that's what the Cardinals offense is. And there are times where it's masterful. And there are times where Cliff Kingsbury calls a great set of plays. This is Cliff Kingsbury in a nutshell. Cliff Kingsbury's movie trailer is fantastic, but the movie isn't really that good. So, like, he has moments where it's like, where the hell is that been hiding? And then you watch the whole movie, it's 3 hours, like, man, that movie stunk. But those moments were cool. That's kind of where we are with the offense with Cliff. So that's why, I mean, they're not the stable side of the football. The defense is. What
do you expect from tonight's game?
Oh, man, you're going to post this after, too. So I got to be Nostradamus here. I think that Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins are going to ball out. I think that Ramondre Stevenson is going to have a career game. I think Hunter Henry is going to have at least 1 touchdown, if not 2. And I think the Cardinals are going to lose 24-17.
That is not
specific enough.
That is not what a Patriots fan would say. Hunter Henry having 2 touchdowns, I don't even see that. When has that ever happened?
Against the Cardinals, baby. The Cardinals and tight ends, oil and water for the Cardinals. It just doesn't. It's just one of those weird anomalies. Like how the Raiders are always at the top penalty wise. Yeah. Always forever. It doesn't matter the coach, the players, whatever. It's just one of those anomalies. Same like that with the Cardinals and tight ends.
So now I have a great follow-up question for you. Do you think Matt Patricia is smart enough to recognize that and play that card?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you know why? And it's funny. Matt Patricia's got an interesting tie to the Cardinals. He's never lost to the Cardinals as a head coach. Well, so I think he was the head coach Kyler Murray's rookie year in 2019, where Detroit was up 2 or 3 scores in the first half, and then Kyler Murray, his rookie year first game, came all the way back and went to overtime, and they tied. And then Stafford came the year after, and they beat the Cardinals. And then last year, was he still the head coach last year? No, that was 2 years ago. It doesn't matter. No, so yeah, I think he's 1-1 or 2-1 against the Cardinals. Was against the Cardinals as the head coach.
Mm.
So Matt Patricia, yes, I think he knows, especially at State Farm Stadium. Like, I would not be surprised. I mean, I'm looking like a genius or a damn idiot, but I think like Hunter Henry is going to be the guy. Hunter Henry is going to be the guy you're going to want to watch out for the Patriots offense tonight, and Ramondre Stevenson because he's a baller.
And that works for my fantasy team. So
Right.
let's hope so.
Yeah,
Is Kyler Murray the guy for you guys?
it's a really good question. Like that's like sometimes the simplest questions have the most complex answers. I think so. Instead of me saying yes last year, I'm saying I strongly think so this year, which is not a backslide. It's being an A student, moving back to an A- student. The problem is that he's being compared to any other quarterback, which is not, like you can compare, I don't know, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. And like, you can't compare Patrick Mahomes to anybody. You can't compare Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a freak. Okay. Yeah. He makes Justin Herbert look not athletic, which is the weirdest thing. Like Josh Allen is built in a lab just like Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson are. Kyler Murray, like one of the biggest things is like, this is his 4th year. Okay. And just because Joe Burrow got there sooner and just because Patrick Mahomes is a freak of nature and got there sooner doesn't mean Kyler Murray's progression isn't natural. That's why it's a rookie contract. Rookies are supposed to not be great or as great as their second contract in their rookie year. Now, he's plateaued this year for sure. And he's made some bad throws. He's, gotten rushed in the pocket. And I'm not one to blame injuries ever, because everybody has injuries. I do think that Cliff Kingsbury is massively failing Kyler Murray, though. I do.
So you were with him. I believe this was a couple of weeks ago where he said after a game that schematically we're fucked.
I've been saying this since 2019, so this is not news to me. And this isn't like a pat myself on the back thing. This is welcome everybody else. Welcome to the party. I've been sitting here in my damn front room waiting for people to show up to see not being able to see the forest through the trees. Schematically, the Cardinals struggle. And it's year 4. This is game 62 that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be coaching. I did the math earlier. And you're still having issues that you were having in week 1 of 2019 when he started.
Jeez, my God.
This is a very similar story to what we have going on here in Boston, where we believe Matt Patricia is fucking up Mac Jones' career, and he definitely plateaued. And this is year 2, and we expected a bigger jump in year 2, and we just seen him sort of plateau, but a little bit of a decline as well.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It's a very similar story. Any questions, Barry?
Yeah, hey, Alex. Just wanted to ask you, what if the Cardinals are gonna pull off this upset tonight and beat the Patriots? What are the keys to the game? Because I'm of the mindset that I think the Cardinals have a legitimate chance to win this game and to beat the Patriots tonight. So what are some things that, on offense and defense that they have to be able to do in order to make that happen and win this game? And then, like, we're talking all this bad stuff about Cliff Kingsbury, excuse me. Does this guy even make it to next year? Is he going to be the head coach of the Cardinals next year? Because I just can't see that happen. And I don't think that with all that, craziness has been happening with the Cardinals and, the relationship between him and Kyler Murray not going very well, this season in particular. Like, I don't know how you can bring him back for next year, but what are your thoughts on that?
How much time you got? So tonight, so what the Cardinals need to do tonight, it's pretty obvious. They just need to get into Mac Jones's kitchen. Like, really, like, the pass rush is imperative for the Cardinals. They've struggled this year. They're towards the bottom with sack totals, but sack totals are kind of one of the more overblown stats for pass rushers. Really, pressures is a big thing. Zach Allen from the interior is going to play. J.J. Watt's still healthy. See if their third-round picks, Myjai Sanders and Cam Thomas, can get to Mac Jones. Like, Mac Jones is very efficient. His ceiling isn't as high as some quarterbacks, but his floor is high. He's a smart dude, okay? But he will throw interceptions if somebody can get to him and he forces throws. Like, the Cardinals need to get to the quarterback. That's the big thing, number one. And offensively, they need to score more points than the Patriots. Like, that's the goal.
Shouldn't be that hard to do.
Like,
It should.
but so this is like, all joking aside, like, the Cardinals need to smack the Patriots secondary in the face. Like, there's no reason why young corners, injured defense, and no Patrick Chung should result in the Cardinals not scoring a lot of points tonight. And I know the defense is the calling card. I've said all week that Bill Belichick is probably the best defensive mind that we've seen in the last 20 years, and that's the great equalizer. It's like, it doesn't matter who's wearing the uniform. If Bill Belichick is leading the charge, the defense is going to ball out. The defense is going to be at least an average middle-rung defense, regardless of talent. Now, obviously, losing J.C. Jackson, Matthew Judon's there, so, I mean, you guys have some talent there. But, like, the Cardinals' offense needs to hum. Like, it needs to be DeAndre Hopkins. It needs to be Hollywood Brown a lot. Like, 20-plus targets, 12, 14-plus receptions, 150 to 200 yards, and a couple touchdowns. That's how the Cardinals win. You'll use James Conner, use Kyler Murray, but you got both these cats, and you got to throw them the ball a lot. So I think that's how they win. Now, with Cliff Kingsbury answering your question about the contract extension, my dad is he only watches the Cardinals because I cover because I've been in sports radio in Phoenix for so long. I called him right when I saw the tweet that Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim got extensions. I call him like, so guess what? It's like, what? Well, Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury got contract extensions through 2027. You got to be bleeping me. Like, he even knew. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, what are we doing here with these like, Cliff Kingsbury could be let go at the end of this season. Okay, he could be. The contract extensions don't kick in until the end of this year. But John Robinson, the GM of the Titans, got an extension in February, and he got canned before the season even ended. So it's not unprecedented. If things aren't working, you say goodbye. I've said this, and I'll continue to say this. If I'm going to predict the future for tonight's game, I may as well say this also. With the offseason and how it happened, they front-loaded all of their resources to the offense, trading for Hollywood Brown, drafting a tight end in the second round, and bringing in an offensive lineman. Vance Joseph was set to be the scapegoat. If anything were to go wrong this season, it would be easy to blame it on Vance Joseph because the defense wasn't given the talent necessary to elevate to be able to keep the Cardinals in games for more than a couple long series, okay? And that's what it's shaping up to be. They've given up, I think, the most points per game in the NFL by defense, okay? That's one. And then you give Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury extensions. I think that Vance Joseph has a better chance of getting let go than Cliff Kingsbury, even though that is the biggest joke in the history of everything. But yeah, that's my stance. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury will get fired, but he never should have been hired to begin with. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I had another question for you, Alex. I did hear that this is the first time that all of them, the Cardinals' offense, particularly their receiving corps, has been healthy, has been able to play in the same game and on the field together. Have their struggles been, not to make any excuses, but mainly because of the injuries that have transpired and gone on this year, and with DeAndre Hopkins' suspension at the beginning of the season, missing the first 6 games, was that a big, impact on this team's struggles?
That's again, incredible question, because you tell me this, and this is not rhetorical whatsoever. I know that the Patriots have struggled in the wide receiver room forever. I think forever is pretty much safe. Aside from some Randy Moss years, you had your Gronk and the other tight end we won't mention, and then Edelman and Welker. Like, you've had guys, but you haven't been. You've had a dude and a tight end. Like, you haven't been rich in wide receiver talent. If you told me, I wonder how many teams when the season started without DeAndre Hopkins, would have taken Hollywood Brown, Rondo Moore, Zach Ertz, James Conner, and AJ Green, and flipped whoever they had in their wide receiver room for them. And then when DeAndre Hopkins came back and Hollywood Brown went out, I wonder how many teams would say DeAndre Hopkins, Rondo Moore, Zach Ertz, AJ Green would have been enough to flip their wide receiver core for the one the Cardinals have. So I say that because just because there have been injuries, the Cardinals have had a lot of talent in the wide receiver room all year. And then now you finally get DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown back. Rondo Moore is going to be out again. But no, I don't think injuries are a reason why this offense has been anemic at times. I don't. And again, this goes back to the first question you asked me. We don't know what the problem is. We don't know where the blame pie percentages should lay. The offensive line has been banged up all year. You know, Steve Keim hasn't drafted an offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds since 2015. So that's, 7 years? So, you know, there were conscious decisions made this offseason to kind of ignore offensive line, pass rush, and corner, and this is what the roster spit out. But I think the Cardinals have plenty of talent to win tonight, even though I don't think they will.
That's interesting because the guy who's covering the Cardinals doesn't think they're going to win.
Well, it's Bill Belichick versus Cliff Kingsbury. I'm taking Bill Belichick 100 times out of 99. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm taking him every time until the Cardinals can beat him.
Should even as bad as he's been this year, and as bad as the Patriots coaching staff has been,
that's different.
Of offense that they've had, that's the thing is that I know it's going to be a close game, but I don't know how the Patriots are going to put up enough points because the Cardinals are going to score now that the offense is finally fully healthy, and we know what they can do when they have a fully healthy offense with all those weapons and playmakers you just talked about now finally being back. So I'm hopeful that the Patriots can win, and I know they need to win. It's a must-win game for them, in my opinion, because particularly with the tough schedule coming up, like they have to be able to win this game and stay in the playoff hunt. But I just don't trust this offense that they can be able to do enough and get it done to beat the Cardinals, particularly if they can't handle the blitz and the offensive line doesn't protect and give Mac Jones enough time to throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Aaron Rodgers missed Devontae Adams and vice versa. I think Bill Belichick misses Josh McDaniels a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, and I'm sure you guys talk about that a lot. Like, this was a whoopsies. Maybe he should have done what he did in Indy when he got the job and said, just kidding. I'm going to go back to Daddy Belichick and I'm going to be what I am. I'm going to get paid a lot. We're going to win a lot of games. I'm going to get to do whatever the hell I want. Like, imagine Josh McDaniels and Ramondre Stevenson. Look at what he's done with Josh Jacobs, and look at what he could do with Ramondre Stevenson and even Damian Harris, who's fine when he's healthy. He's just not the guy. Like, he's just not. Ramondre Stevenson is the guy. And, I mean, they had – I don't know. That would be really frustrating for me if I was a Patriots fan, having a defensive guy come in and call the plays with a guy who was terrible at it in New York with Joe Judge. It's like – I mean, it's like Tweedledee and whatever. I just I'm not sure how much of a fan I'd be about that.
And that was Kraft that brought Josh McDaniels back and convinced him to not take that Indy job. It wasn't, Belichick who, talked him out of not taking the head coaching job. So just wanted to point that out there. I wish Kraft did it again, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. And the Patriots are paying the price for it, as we can see.
Yeah, but they still have 6 wins. Like, that's the thing is, like, it doesn't matter. I mean, Bill Belichick's defense is the only one that's ever made a quarterback see ghosts or whatever Sam Darnold said. Like, it's just different. The baseline for wins, even in the AFC East, is always going to be higher for the Patriots than a normal franchise. Regardless of who quarterback is. Bradley Zappi won 2 games this year, right? Or 1. I can't remember.
He won 2.
He won 2? Yeah. And I mean, it's just so weird. It doesn't make any sense. Like, Jared Stidham was supposed to be the guy. And then Bradley, like, normal organizations don't win games like that. Like, that's not normal. I used to talk to one of my good buddies covered the Patriots forever, Mike Petraglia with WEEI. And I'm like, do you understand how, like, on a day-to-day basis, do you understand how lucky you are? You son of a, like, do you understand? Every day, Bill Belichick may say 6 words and you have to write a column about it, but, like, do you understand? Like, it's a different floor, man. It's just a different floor. And it's, that's why, you know, when you ask me who's going to win tonight, like, I can't not take history. I can't not take Billy. And the last time they played, Cam Newton, like, the Cardinals should have won the last time they played in Foxborough with Cam Newton. Isaiah Simmons, late hit, under a minute left, 15 yards, Nick Folk, long field goal. Isaiah Simmons hit Cam Newton like he would have hit me. Cam Newton flew. That wasn't a penalty. It was just one of those weird angles, but they ended up calling it because nobody hits Cam Newton and makes him fly like that. It's 6'5", 250 or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I am curious to see, like, if the Cardinals win tonight, like, it's a different conversation, not for this year, but these are wins that the Cardinals just, as an organization, just don't win. These are the games they just don't win, which is, you know, a problem, but we'll see.
Yeah. If you guys don't win tonight, you guys blame Vince Joseph for providing.
If they lose 30-13, like, this is the problem. Like, if they give up a lot of points and don't score a lot of points, Ty is always going to go to protecting Cliff and protecting the offense, because that's the investment. Vance Joseph, who's the best coach on the coaching staff, he's not perfect, but he's the best coach on the coaching staff. It's like, yeah. So you heard it here. After I've been saying it since March, I'm like, if S goes sideways, it's gonna be Vance's head who rolls first, which is completely unfair, but it's the self-fulfilling prophecy that Steve Keim and Michael Bidwell put together.
Well, Alex, man, thank you so much for coming on and providing your thoughts for, you know, tonight's game Patriots versus Cardinals. You know, you're always welcome to come on the show. Hopefully we keep playing you guys and we'll bring you back on the show and we'll get
we'll see what happens tonight.
Maybe a week time. All right. But we appreciate it, man, and good luck with everything you're doing with Locked On Arizona Cardinals, man. We appreciate it once again.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for coming on and joining us. It was a pleasure having you. Good talking football with you. So Absolutely. Thanks for your time. We greatly appreciate it, and happy holidays.
Likewise. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Later.
Good stuff.
That guy knows what he's talking about, man.
Sure does.
Alex Clancy. Make sure you guys are following him if you're, you know, Arizona Cardinals fan. I'm sure you know about it. He's the host of Locked On Cardinals. You can also follow him on social media. It's Locked On Cardinals, and as well as Clancy's Corner on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following us too. And if you're watching, you know, make sure you click in that little black button below, which is the subscribe button. You know, leave your thoughts and comments, whatever. We'll try to get back to you guys at some point. But once again, man, thank you guys for the support. Make sure you're following us on social media. We're at ProFanSports on everything other than Instagram. That's at ProFans_sport. And that'll be it for this week. Until next week, y'all. We out of here. Go Patriots.
Have a good night, everyone. See you next week. Take care. Happy holidays. Go Pats.